All right. So we're officially on, go ahead, Mike, if you want. You want me to share it to your page, Mike? Or?
No, I'm going there right now.
All right, cool. All right, so you give it a minute as people start to chime in. They'll be in a second. So, Mike.
Here we go. All right. So I just shared it to mine.
All right. So we'll be on in a second. We just give it a minute. No, we'll get started in a second as soon as people start coming on. So, all right. Once again, Tanya, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. I'm gonna make sure my mom gets on.
Okay, yeah. Good time.
Where should he go to? I think I just went to Kim's page, right? That's where I went last time.
I don't know. She didn't share it. You can go to church's page, Bible Christians, or you can go to my page actually.
Tell Kim to text my mom and send it.
Yeah, you gotta text.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
She may have.
Or it's on my page.
Debbie, your microphone.
You're doing an in and out thing.
And you're a lot choppy too. Yeah.
It's freezing.
All right. You can have the Wi-Fi just in case. Can we use it again? Can we use the Wi-Fi just in case? The internet has been. I'm getting a signal thing.
Yeah, it's like this is a lot choppy. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
If you switch.
Oh. Okay. Never mind.
Okay.
All right.
We'll just roll with it, right?
Yeah, we'll just roll with it.
Okay. It's not so bad. It's every now and again it happens.
I was wondering sometimes if I talk too fast, maybe it gets choppy.
Or
we talk at the same time, might be choppy a little bit. So I'm not sure. So we'll see. All right.
Like a stream of light is coming right down the screen.
Oh, waiting. Quick question, Mike. I say, while we're waiting, quick question, Mike.
Devin, I hear you, but you're really choppy now.
I'm really, really choppy now?
Really choppy, yeah.
Let me change mics.
It must be on Facebook because it sounds
No,
on my side.
Yeah, it's good on my side too. But I think what Devin was trying to say, Ms. Tanya, is just thank you for doing this, especially within our communities is definitely needed. I can talk about my stuff and when I was a kid and everything. So but thank you for doing this.
No, it's a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. And like we said, we're gonna wait for some people to get on, but interesting topic. I wasn't taught this stuff when I was young, and I'm pretty sure you've heard all the horror stories of people's credit being, done away with, or, horrible, at age 16, 17, 18. I know I had like 3 or 4 credit cards myself. I know that's like a big taboo not to do, but, definitely your expertise on this is definitely really helpful.
Yeah, it sometimes happens to people even younger because their parents use their credit.
Well, I wasn't going to put my mom and dad out there, but I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, yeah. I had like a 400 when I was 16. I was like, how? I don't have any credit,
Any file.
Yeah, love you, Mom.
You got to clean it up.
Right.
It's something that I think should be taught in school. And
right.
This is a topic that is requested all the time from the biotech companies that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not taught in school. So even though people are making 6 figures, they don't know how to manage their credit. What happened? Devin dropped off.
Yeah, he did. I don't know what happened. But yeah, he definitely. Oh, he's coming back on now.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but it definitely should be, definitely taught in schools. In our last conversation, we had, that's what she was saying to the other young lady, that like we need to be taught this. And you kind of wonder why this isn't taught, especially in our communities, because we're always up. Devin's calling me. Hold on.
It says 3 participants.
Hey, bro, what's going on? Yes, me and Miss Tanya are still on.
It's still on. All right, I just got dropped. So I'm going to switch over to the Wi-Fi. I don't think it's going to end the meeting. So we'll see.
Okay.
But it's not showing me there, is it?
Yeah, it's still showing you three participants. You still see them too, Miss Tanya, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says Bible
It's
Christian.
showing me there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to come out and start over, or what do you want to do?
No. We'll see what happens. All right. Just keep going.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Let me see. Are we still on Facebook, actually? Let me just make sure. Just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. We'll make sure we're still on Facebook.
No problem.
No, yeah, we're still on Facebook, I think. Okay. Yeah, I think we're still on Facebook. But anyway, though, so how we usually do it is, we wait till people come on and then we'll say a prayer, like Devin said, and then, we'll say a couple of things, and then you go ahead and you teach us. You teach us some things, and usually read your bio. I mean, I wish I had your bio, but I don't. Yeah, Devin has it. Yeah, you're on mute too.
Sorry.
You're fine. Yeah, so I wish I had your bio, but that's fine. I can definitely talk.
I can send it to you, or if he's sending it to you. Oh, he dropped off. He was on.
He dropped out again. Well, like I said, we'll give him a little bit more time, to start, and then afterwards, I'll just go ahead and pick it up from there. It's fine. So, but maybe you can just tell us a little bit about, like, when did you start picking up this? When did you start getting interested in, basically how to manage your credit, how to manage I call it manage your life.
Yeah.
Just don't know how to manage their life and get behind the 8 ball really quick. So
I was interested in how to manage my life. I think really early on, because of the situation I grew up in, I recognized the fact that we had less. So
right.
one of the stories that I like to share about this whole topic is when I'd asked my mom to buy me these Nike gym shoes.
Yeah, right.
Of course, right? I really wanted these shoes. Like, I really wanted these shoes.
Right.
And she told me that we couldn't get them because she didn't have the money for it. And, I don't remember what age I was, but I was probably in high school, if not junior high. I was older.
Right.
And so I thought, she just doesn't really want to get them, right? I wasn't thinking that she didn't have the money for it. I thought she didn't think it was, maybe worth the money, or good. I didn't really quite buy that she didn't have the money for it.
Yeah.
And I guess I gave her that kind of face, like.
Right. Yeah, right. All right. Right. Like we do, like we usually do.
And so she said, well, you know what? Here's my paycheck. Because back in the day, we actually got paper paychecks, right?
I know, right? Kids don't remember that. Like, what's that?
Paycheck.
I know.
So she's revealing to me what her paycheck was like, right? So this is a big thing, right? There's a lot of things that I didn't recognize then that I recognize now, right? So we have this idea that our parents just have money, and maybe not as much as others or as much as on TV, but you have no idea really how much that is, right? So this is the first time I'm seeing what her paycheck looks like. And then she says, and here's our bills. Here's the stack of bills, and here's my paycheck. Pay them all. If we have enough left, you can get your gym shoes.
Right.
She was on it. I wonder if she remembered this. And so I went through it and probably was almost about in tears at the end, because I said, well, we actually don't have enough.
Right. Yeah. And that was probably a really big, like, humbling experience for you, and a lot of us go through that. I mean, your mom showing you the paycheck was even probably more of a learning experience for you than, than anything. I wish I probably would have had that experience because I was always wanting the nice Felines and the Nike shoes. You know,
I had those Pro Wings.
oh man, bro, that's what they were, the Pro Wings. Oh man,
I had the Pro Wings from Kmart, but I really wanted those Nikes.
yeah, I know, right.
But this is a story that really stuck with me throughout time because I remember when I got my first job out of college, living in Dallas, and I got my first paycheck. And I remember calling my mom and saying, Mom, I paid my rent and all my bills.
Right.
And I had some left over and I'm going to send you some.
Oh, man. That was probably the best feeling in the world. And you were in college. I didn't get this way till I was a grown man.
This was after I graduated, my first job out of college. But I remember that. I remember going back to feel it, to remembering that story or that experience of having you gone through all the bills with her paycheck, us not having enough to cover it. And I'm like, so what do we do? Right? She's like,
right.
We're gonna put 5 on this one and 10 on this one. And knowing now what I know, it's like, oh my God, you can't do that. But that's the way she managed. That's the way we live. That's the way we survive. And so when I was able to pay it forward, when I was able to be in the place of responsibility of paying for my own rent and paying my own bills, it took me back to that time.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we got Devin back on. Devin, you want to unmute your mic?
Yeah, does it sound better now?
Yes.
All right.
You got the ESPN mic down.
I know.
Right. Whatever that breaking news.
Right.
Or spit some bars.
Right. Wow.
You spit bars on ESPN.
Pop your peas on that one. That looked like the one, the professionals use there.
Yeah, you know how we do. All right, so we can go ahead and get started.
All right, so I'm going to say a prayer and then we're going to, open up.
Oh, by the way, Mike, real quick, I did send you the bio.
I didn't see it, Devin. Did you see it on Yahoo?
Yeah, Yahoo.
I don't know why it didn't come up. I don't see it.
Still using Yahoo.
I'll try again.
I heard you.
What'd you say?
You still using Yahoo?
Yeah.
That might be why you don't see it.
That's probably it. All right, so
I'm
going to say prayer. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together for this informational event. Dear Lord, hopefully we learn something, not just the people that are watching now, but the people that are hopefully watching in the future of this, because we definitely all need to understand, how to manage our credit a lot better. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I wonder if I can, my battery got to go out.
Yeah. So Ms. Tanya was just talking about, how she got into it at a very early age of just dealing with credit and knowing how to kind of manipulate, the money that they have, the income in, income out. Sums it up, what we were just talking about from when she was a young kid up until college days when she's able to pay it forward. And that's what we're talking about today. Paying it forward, she's paying it forward and teaching us, whoever's watching now, watching later on, how we can definitely do better, because I know it took me up until this point to actually understand credit and, how to manipulate my credit to the point where I'm able to finance things that I would never, ever would have been. I do have the bio now.
Okay. Before we read the bio real quick, I just want to let people know who are watching this. Thank you for joining us. We have Pammy on YouTube right now, and she also said, I showed my daughter my paycheck and bills when she was 10. And, hearing that, I think that's a very good idea to let children know exactly where, the money is actually going to come in the house, Like we always say, money don't grow on trees. And it's a reason why dads always go through and cut all the lights off and turn the air off and things like that, because that stuff costs money. You can't be in the middle of winter and kids in the room with shorts and sipping on lemonade and got the ceiling fan on. And, you know, only thing they're missing is the hula dancers because it's so hot. You know?
Right.
And but that's a very good thing to do. And also, I always want to tell people, you know, Bible Christian Fellowship Spirit, you know, we share the word with people to give us salvation, but we also should share things like this to help the Black community get out the situation we're in through education. And education with money is a big part of it. It's a huge part of it, that we won't be so dependent upon, you know, outside sources, like, you know, whether the government, whether it's a stimulus check or whether it's welfare, that we can use the things that we can to avoid doing that, whether it's make our own financial businesses or just understanding money just in general, you know? So especially credit. Because like, you know, Mike was saying, it's a lot of things you can't do in this world unless you have credit. And it's a lot of, you know, as a community, we don't understand how powerful credit is, because half the time before we even get started, you know, we usually start off on a bad note, you know, or we go to college and we get a bunch of credit cards and we end up, you know, using all those credit cards. And next thing you know, you're already starting in debt and you really haven't started life yet. So this is our way to give back to the community, to educate the community, for us to, you know, start slowly rising up and detaching ourselves from basically, you know, I guess, you know, like welfare and the government, different things like that. Financial independence. That's what we're trying to share with not only the word, but also, you know, financial independence. All right. So, Mike, you want to go ahead and read that bio, sir?
Yes, sir. So Ms. Tanya Smith-Winston is an award-winning account manager with over 20 years in financial services. In her current role as Business Development and Community Relations Officer of the MIT Federal Credit Union, she provides financial literacy programming to campus students, facility and affiliate organizations, such as international pharmaceutical and biomedical research companies, Novartis, I can't read that word, and Broad Institute. Latanya is also the founder of and CEO of B Royal Bank Boutique, a woman online fashion boutique committed to curating unique, bold styles that are size inclusive and confidence boosting. That is Miss Tanya Winston.
All right.
All right.
Hurt the beans.
So we have a well-educated sister who's educated in finances and even has her own business. So she's on our stage today. Fashion.
Yes.
She has my wife over here looking real good right now.
Hold off, Kimberly.
And also, just before we get started, we'll put her information and her link out on the YouTube page and also on the Facebook page, so you can actually see the stuff that she's selling, because you know we always try to shop Black first. That's the key. I always shop Black first. All right, so now we're going to hand it over to Latanya. So Latanya, you know, share with us what you know.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, so just give me a moment to get that up. All right. So I'm sharing with you a presentation that I use in my work, and I want to make sure that everybody can see it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I believe that Mike is going to let me know if there's questions along the way.
Yes.
Feel free. If not, put it in the chat and then we'll talk about it after. All right. So these are the objectives that I've laid out, but again, whatever questions may come to mind, we can discuss those as well. So my plan is to discuss what's the difference between a credit card and a debit card, the tips for obtaining and using credit wisely for life, how to build a solid credit history, how your credit score is calculated, and then some of the common errors that you would find on your credit reports. So on this first slide here is a couple of depictions here that I just want to show in terms of average credit balances that folks are usually carrying on their credit card. And it is broken down by age. A lot of us may be a little bit older than these on here, but I wasn't sure with the audience. And so I kept this slide just to give us this perspective.
Okay.
So in general, college age students around the ages of 18 to 24 are carrying about $1,100 a month on their credit card. Maybe some a little bit less, some a little bit more. And on this next figure here, you'll see who's paying what. So 63%, which is really good, actually. This is much better than where we were maybe 10 years ago, are paying their credit card bill in full every month, which is great for the credit score.
Great. Not
Right?
me.
There's about 8% that's just paying the minimum, and then there's 1% paying less than the minimum. And then there's 26% that's actually paying more than the minimum, but still less than the total that's due. And then there were some who took the survey that just didn't even know. I guess they're just throwing money at it, or their parents are paying for it.
Probably.
And the last figure, it talks just to that point in terms of who's responsible, who's paying for that bill. So 15% of it, the parent and someone else, a guardian, is paying for their bill. And 73% though is that person, that student is responsible for paying that bill. And that certainly would have been me at the time when I got my first credit card. Even though I was able to put my parents' information on it, I was the one who was responsible for the payments on that credit card.
Right.
And then just 12% was a shared responsibility between the parent and the student. So what's really important here to share, oh, where's my arrows? Here on the next one is that due to the credit card, there was a credit card bill put in place by President Obama that made it to where you had to be at least 21 before you could even get a credit card in your own name, which I think really helped with a lot of what we would have seen 10 plus years ago. Those numbers would have looked quite different. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about credit card versus debit card, because I talked to a lot of young folks and it seems as though there's some mix up between what the two are and how they're different, because you can use the credit button with the debit card, but it's still very different, right? So credit card features of a credit card is a buy now and a pay later, right? It's widely accepted for cash, using it like a checkbook, but it is a loan, right? It's an interest-free loan if the balance is paid during the grace period, but if not, you're earning interest, right? And you're gonna pay more.
Right.
What's good about it is it does affect your credit history. So if you are using it well and there's evidence of creditworthiness, that's going to help your credit score and this strengthens your credit rating. There is an ability to stop payment if merchandise is unsatisfactory or lost when you use a credit card, but it is a loan. And I think that's the biggest thing that people don't realize, is that it is an unsecured loan. A debit card, of course, is a buy now, pay now. So you can only use what you actually have, right? Money is deducted from your account immediately. There's no interest charges charged to you. It allows you to make cash withdrawals from an ATM. Usually it only affects your credit. It only affects your credit if for some reason you were to overextend, right? Overdraw your account. There's overdraft protection available at most institutions. We offer it right at a credit union. I'm sure most banks offer it as well, but it's at a fee, right? So you're gonna have that bounce check and you're gonna have a fee. So they're gonna cover that, but you're gonna still owe that amount that you wrote, plus you're gonna pay the fee. So the next question that usually comes up is, well, how do I even get a credit card, right? If I'm a young person, I haven't even started out, how do I get started? So the best way to do it is to probably become an authorized user on your parents' or a guardian's account, if they have good credit, right?
Right.
Then becoming an authorized user on their account is a great way to get started. And like I mentioned, due to an act that was put in place by President Obama back in 2009, it was called the Credit Card Act. If you're under 21, this is the only option for you to be able to start with a credit card. And this is important because we do have many young people starting out in college before they turn 21. I did, right? I was younger than 21 before I started college and had a need for one, but this would be the only way starting in 2009 and today that you would be able to get a credit card if you're under 21.
You know what? I think that's a real plus
because,
It's
you know, when I was 18, I was able to get a credit card and I just was just swiping like, you know, like it was going out of style,
yeah.
you know. And at that age, you don't have a chance to maturely understand exactly what it is. It's not like they really teach credit in school.
They don't at all.
Yeah, they don't teach credit or finances in school at all. So they're going to give an 18-year-old ability to run, even if it's like $500. They don't realize that $500, and plus at the interest rate at that age, what?
20% or more usually.
Exactly. So that $500 is like $650, you know, and then late fees, because who has a job that could pay it an 18 as a whole? So, you know, I think that was a good move by Obama for what he did by doing that.
Yeah, I can remember, Devin, my first credit card was on campus as well. And it was a Citibank card. So that's funny that ended up being a company I worked for many years.
He was dedicated.
Yeah. But they were allowed, we are not allowed now, any financial institution is not allowed to set up on college campuses and talk about credit cards. So even though, right, I'm part of MIT, we're on campus, obviously, but when we're out like tabling on campus, we cannot discuss credit cards. But back in the day, that's my first credit card. And they would, right, that's how everybody got their first credit card.
Right.
And because they'll be out there on the hottest day of the year. They'll have free, right, Mountain Dew and T-shirts and stuff to entice you.
Right.
So that's no longer allowed due to this Credit Card Act. So yeah. So another way, right? If you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, what if I don't have a parent or a guardian that has great credit for me to ride on to start building my own credit? There's another way, and it's called a secured credit card.
Right.
The secured credit card is where you would put down at least $150 of your own money, and then that will be your new credit line on a credit card, right? That you could draw off of. And it takes from 6 to 12 months for you to build up credit history, basically repaying yourself, and that will be reported to the credit bureau. And that will be your first trade line or your way to building your credit back up.
So can 18-year-old get a secure credit card? No? Not even using their own money, huh?
You still need to be over 18.
Over 21 for a secured? Okay.
But this is a way, if you know nothing changed between 18 and 21, you have no trade lines out there, you need to be able to get a car or something, or you know you will down the road. This is the way to start building your credit. And remember, there's other ways to build credit history besides a credit card, right? So you can get a utility bill in your name that can build your credit history. Your cell phone, right? They report, and
Cell
they
phone
have
kill
like
credit.
$1,000 these days, right? That's a large trade line, getting a phone these days, right?
Right.
So they report to the credit bureaus as well. So there's other ways, right? And especially if you get a loan of any type, but it'll be harder to get that. So utilities is usually the next place that people go to start getting trade lines in their name. That and a cell phone.
Question, Ms. Haya. So just going back to that credit card and putting down, you know, you said 150. I'm just assuming that was just a number you threw out.
That's what we asked for at the credit union.
Right. Okay. So, you know, if I put down a deposit or something, my own money, then it takes me, you know, 6 months to build credit. Do I build that credit? Can I build that line of credit up to like, you know, $500 to like $1,000 eventually, or does it still stay at that that line of credit that whenever I have?
It stays at the line of credit you start with.
Okay.
And it's your money, right? So you could say that you wanted to do more, but we're saying at minimum at least 150.
Okay. And
it's not going to change because it's not like a regular credit card. So it's not because you are doing well that it's going to increase. No, it's based on what you put down at the beginning of the agreement.
Okay. So it's kind of like the way I'm understanding it, it's kind of like a hybrid debit and credit card. Am I wrong for saying it like that?
Yeah, because it's not a debit card.
Right.
Like at the end of the agreement, for a year, 6 months, you're going to get your money back as long as you have paid yourself back.
Okay. Okay.
So you're really paying yourself along the whole way. The benefit of it is that we're reporting it as a trade line to the credit bureaus.
Okay.
Question. So can you use secured credit cards to build your credit up so you then get an unsecured credit card after a certain amount of time?
Absolutely. That's the point of it. Yes.
It's like a stepping stone or step to the next level.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
People
that's
are just coming off of bankruptcy and trying to build up, although usually after bankruptcy, everybody's trying to get you.
Yeah. Right.
They know you well, why? Is because they figured they're going to make some money off of you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Well, this is somebody who doesn't manage their credit.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, that they're probably going to not pay in full. So I'm going to make some interest off of them. I'm going to make interest money off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That should be a law, actually. Once you file for bankruptcies, that's when you get all the credit. Because, like you said, now I'm coming after you. That's almost like going after an addict.
Yeah.
after they leave,
and the interest rates are insane.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, for a year, that person is probably going to do really well, and I'm going to make this much money off of them.
Okay. Well, thanks for Tanya to clear that up. I kind of compare it to like the old Rust cars I used to get back in the day. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Please.
Russell Simmons.
Yes, the Russell Simmons car. Yeah.
Right. I don't know about that one. Don't do
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, they've definitely protected themselves on those type of credit cards, affinity cards, right?
Right.
So let's talk about the fine print. So that was another thing that came under the Credit Card Act of 2009. Boy, do I miss my president. With that Credit Card Act of 2009, he made it to where the print, the font of the fine print had to be more than, I want to guess that it was like 3 or 4 is what we were seeing before. Like you need a magnifying glass.
Right.
So now if you have 20/20 vision, you can now read it without a magnifying glass, although it is still incredibly small. It's not as small as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some things in there though that people really do need to be paying attention to. And that's whether there's a balance transfer fee, if there's a cash advance fee. And then I'm going to stop right there at the cash advance fee and just say, people, please never take cash off of a credit card.
No.
It is always the highest interest rate that they could possibly do is on a cash advance. It is not the purpose for a credit card to withdraw cash off of it, or those payday loans and all that stuff. That's about the same thing. So those rates are always going to be exponentially higher to withdraw cash off of a credit card. Also on the fine print is going to talk about rate increases. And that's very important too, because you could be signing up for this credit card because it says 12 months, no payments, no interest. But did you read the fine print around rate increases? Because usually if you miss one payment, it could shoot up to XYZ, right? Or if you say can fluctuate semi-monthly. I mean, it could be anything in there that you could think of. And so you should know what contract, because this is a contract when you sign up for a credit card. It's a contract and you need to read the fine print. And that's exactly what they're talking about. And there's a lot of language around rate increases that you could find under the fine print. Also, the one we're more comfortable with or more common is the late payment fee. But those late payment fees have gotten very expensive these days too, right? It could be anywhere from $30 to $50 late payment fees. And that's in addition to the interest, right, that you're gonna pay. And then there's another fee called the over the limit fee. And a lot of people go, wait, what? Right? Yeah. So that means I will allow you to go over your credit limit, but I'm going to charge you a higher interest rate on that amount.
So basically, if you get like $50 on that card and you want to use 80 to make your purchase, you go $30 over, you're going to pay $30 plus an over the limit fee. plus higher interest.
Right. Yeah.
And then there'll be a ding on your credit.
Yep. Well, not over the limit fee. It'll be a ding on your credit next month when you can't pay it.
Right. You can't
Okay.
pay it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Go ahead, bro.
Ms. Tanya, so a question that I have then, when you tell your students or, your folks that, hey, do you have, you have credit, don't go over this. Like, do you give them a specific like percentage rule, or do you have any type of rules to make sure that you don't go over that?
We're going to get to that. That's
Okay.
another formula for the credit score. Yep.
Okay.
So there's some more fine print, right? There's replacement card fees. There's a fee if you always pay in full, right? You wouldn't think that was it, but that means, hey, they're saying I had intended to make interest money off of you, but if you're always paying in full, then I'm gonna need to get my money another way. So I'm gonna charge you a fee for always paying in full. Yeah. And then there's the minimum payment trap, right? And I have an example, so we'll go into more detail on that one. And then there's the universal default clause. Have you ever heard of that?
I have never heard of the universal default.
No, me neither.
So that's the idea that so if I'm Citibank and you started being late where you hadn't been before, right? Your behavior changed, you stopped paying in full or you stopped paying on time. Well, as you may know, all of your creditors are always doing a soft inquiry into your credit report.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
so if they start to notice a trend, right, universally, those other companies may start to also limit your credit limit all of a sudden. So you say, wait a minute, I had a $2,000 credit line, but they just out of the blue reduced it to $1,500 or reduced it by half and reduced it to $1,000. And that might be that they are afraid because they're seeing a trend with your other creditors that you're starting not to pay in full, you're starting not to pay on time. So to protect themselves, they're gonna do some things to protect themselves. So they're gonna decrease your credit limits.
Okay.
And then there's the whole idea of 120 days, same as cash. Right? That's another trip up, right? And you usually see these at like a Best Buy, right?
Right.
And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get this 70 split screen TV, right? And I'm gonna get it because they had this great deal on their credit card. It's 120 days, same as cash. But the problem here is that a lot of people don't realize that on a day 121, if you haven't paid that off, then you're going to get all the interest from day one.
Wait. All the interest from what?
Day one that you bought
4 months back?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? So you got 120 days, same as cash. That means that needs to be paid by 120 days.
So if you got something for $800 and you do not pay it off by 120 days, then all the interest from that one first day to 4 months later is all going to be bulked into your line of credit. You got to pay all that back.
It's going to be back in your balance. Yeah. Yep. Fine print, people. Read the fine print. So I mentioned the minimum payment trap. So here's an example of that. So say you have a balance of $2,000 on your credit card right now, and the minimum payment is about $80, right? And it's declining if your balance declines. But if you pay at just the minimum payment that is required, that it's going to take you 9.5 years to pay that $2,000 off. So that means you're paying an extra $1,100 just in interest over that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you paid a little more than the minimum, say $100 per month, it'll take you only 2 years and you'll only pay an extra $400 in interest. That's the minimum.
$20.
Yeah.
This is where there's another shout out due to President Obama for the Credit Card Act of 2009 that said that we actually have to put on the statement how long it'll take you to pay something off if you just pay the minimum. And I remember this clearly because I remember being in one of our annual meetings when I was still working for Citibank, and them talking about the loss of revenue that we had endured due to more people paying more than the minimum because we had told them it was going to take them 10 years versus 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically the whole game is to keep you in debt.
Oh, definitely. That's how you make money.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you ever look through statistics, I remember when I used to work in retail, it's like every year they used to say, hey, we need to get the urban money. Anytime they say urban money back then, they were talking about Black people. They used to say, hey, yeah, that's why they opened up Calumet City. You know, the place I used to work for put a store in Calumet City. You know what Calumet City is?
Yeah.
You know, they call it the urban city, the urban market.
Yeah.
And we as a people used to actually, you know, fund the place I used to work for the entire year just in Christmas. You know, everything would be Christmas. That's when they make all their money because we as a people, we are consumers. You know, we consume.
That and tax break, right? And tax time, I'm sorry.
Oh man, tax time. That's when you get new furniture. That's when you get new cars and all that stuff. That's when people out there, you know, ghetto fabulous. That's what we used to call it.
And you just need to claim more on your dependents and get your money, your paycheck every month or every however you get paid every 2 weeks.
Right.
And that's the thing. We need to get out that way of thinking. You know, we need to get off that way of thinking. I remember when I met my first millionaire. Well, he was more than a millionaire, but I was my first rich guy. And it was with the company I went to work for. I went to the corporate office and the owner came. And he owned the Jacksonville Jaguars at the time, plus, you know, that booming company that I worked for. And when he came into in there, he had on this jumpsuit like he got from Walmart and some shoes that that were like 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And you had no idea that this dude was a millionaire, you know, because he was basically saying, you know, he talked about a little bit. He said, yeah, you know, I'm not on offense all the time. I'm on defense. Meaning I got to, you know, keep this. I got to be wise with it. I didn't get it just by winning a lottery ticket, you know?
Right.
So it's that mentality that we as a people have to change, you know, about the flash and the show and stuff like that. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but it's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Manage your money.
Right. That's basically what it is. So that's amazing. What you were just saying about the whole credit card thing. I didn't realize that was even changed. I didn't even look. I have to admit, I didn't even look at my statements to see if I pay this much. I just pay them off anyway.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build my credit, but I never really looked to see how that's broken down like that.
Yeah. It'll tell you how long it'll take you to pay it off if you just pay the minimum.
Yeah.
So
we have a comment on Facebook by Britt. She said a couple of things actually. She said, you know, sorry she was late, and she said, thank you for the explanations, you know, that you're presenting right now, and it explains a lot. I'm assuming she's probably talking about her situation or a situation that she knows of.
Mm-hmm.
But then she also says, wow, I do notice every time we wanted to upgrade, we wait till tax time and it wouldn't last as long. Honestly, we are working on money management more and more.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, if you have any questions, Britt, or anybody that's watching us, you're gonna please, you know, keep them coming, and I'll definitely get them out there.
So a couple of tips about how to stay out of credit card trouble. The first is don't use your credit card like a debit card because it's a loan, right? Mm-hmm. Don't pay only the minimum payment. We just went through why. Don't charge more than 25% of your credit limit.
Right.
Right? And we're going to get to more about that. Don't use one card to pay another card.
Can't rob Peter to pay Paul, huh?
Don't do that. Don't use credit cards just to get reward points, because guess what? They do not translate. It does not translate dollar for dollar, right? And reward cards have the higher interest rates. So the only time you really should use the rewards card is that you know everything you put on that card, you're going to pay off in full.
Okay.
So if you're using a credit card for an emergency, it shouldn't be that rewards card. that it should be a card that has a more a lower interest rate, so a more competitive card. The rewards cards are never going to be the best interest rate cards because you're getting something for it, right?
Mhm.
So don't pay credit card or any bill late, and we're going to talk about that, right?
Any bill.
Pay any bill late, because a lot of times that date is negotiable, right? And don't open credit cards just to get free stuff. Going back to the whole T-shirts and Mountain Dew.
Oh, man, that's gonna half my wardrobe.
Or these days, right, is I'm going to get these 3,000 points. So that's going to pay for one ticket so that my family can go on vacation type of thing, right? But again, it's a rewards card. So are you prepared if you put all 5 of your airline tickets on this credit card, are you prepared to pay it off in full when you get the bill, even if you get one of the tickets free? Because if not in interest, you're going to probably pay for that ticket anyway.
Yeah. Right.
So what happens when you do pay late, right? So the late payment fee might be as high as $39, right? And there was something put in, again, under the Credit Card Act that made it to where it couldn't be more than that for someone who was under 21. The max late payment fee is now $25 for those folks, but still, it's going to ding your credit score, right?
Wait, question. How can somebody under 21 have a less than $25 late fee if they can't even get a card?
They have a card because they're an authorized buyer.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So they're on their parents' card or something like that. A guardian's card. Okay.
And then remember that whole universal default clause, right? That other creditors may raise their rates because you've been paying late on another card.
Okay.
So one of the easy ways to avoid making late payments that I use all the time is my bill pay, right? So usually most financial institutions, whoever you might bank with, offers, right, account online, right?
Yeah.
Go to your account online and you can put in those bills that stay the same every month. So let's start there, right? So your automobile, right? Your car bill usually is the same thing because it's a loan, right? So those loans, they are the same amount until you pay the car off, right? That's something that you could easily have automated so you know that you're always paying on time. Which is very important because that's an installment loan. And so those have really largely when you talk about credit scores. But also, I had to start because, right, I was managing my business stuff and my stuff, and sometimes it's like too much. So I'm going to make sure that I'm putting a certain amount towards my credit card for my business, no matter what, right? So before I even see the bill, I have automatically I'm paying $100, let's say, towards that credit card every month, just so I know I'm not late. Even if I didn't pay it in full, I know that I didn't pay late.
Right.
That's one strategy, right?
Right.
Use your online banking. And also, right, if this happens to you once, say you're usually always very good about paying your bills on time, but something happened in your life and you forgot about this, call and ask for a waiver. Usually, if you're a person who usually pays your bills on time and they can look back and see that you haven't requested them to waive the late fee in the last 60 to 90 days, they will waive this time the late fee on your account. And hopefully you catch it early enough, you're only a day or 2 or 3 late when you call. It hasn't been reported to the credit bureaus yet.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that option to try to waive a late fee, especially if you're, I guess, a good citizen.
Right. Also, I want to put here too is, did you know you could also get your due date changed? Due dates are just based on when you apply for the credit card, right? So usually I know at Citibank anyway, we had like 4 different due dates that any one person could have. And again, it's based on when they open the card. So if in your situation, say it's coming around, it's due on the 1st or the 5th, but that's the same time your rent is due, that's the same time your car bill is due, like everything is coming out of that first check, and that's just a lot to manage. pick up the phone and call and
Right.
say, I really need a different billing date, due date, because I needed to come out of my second check of the month.
Right.
This is
Right.
my first, you don't even have to really give a reason. That's your request as a customer. I want to change my billing date.
Mhm.
It may take about 60 days for that change to happen, but it's certainly something that can be done.
Okay.
But you have to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something my uncle told me when I was growing up. He said, never be afraid to call the credit card companies. He said, you should just definitely call them. He
Yeah.
said, don't ignore it. If you get the bill and can't pay it, call and let them know. And they'll work out something with you.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's ways that they would prefer to work out a payment plan with you than to have to send it to a creditor. Once they send your file off to a creditor, there's no more money for them to be made by the credit card company, right? They're selling it off, and and so they've sold it off at a very low amount, right? So they sell a bunch of them, right, to creditors at a really low price point, and then it's up to the creditors to try to make their money, right? And so that's what's going to continue to call you. It's not the credit card company that's going to keep calling you. It's a creditor company that's going to keep calling, right?
Right.
Those credit repairs, right? That they're calling you, not the credit card company. And so they would rather be able to work out a deal with you before going to that next step. So definitely, usually, and that's when the conversation will come up about, well, you could change your billing date.
Right. Like, yeah, you could have told me that earlier.
Right. So before it gets that far, go ahead, pick up the phone and call. And that's something just to keep in mind when you're shopping for a credit card, in terms of, well, wait a minute, I'm applying today. Should I apply today? Because it's going to be, right, my billing day is going to be based off of today.
Right. So we have another comment from Britt. She actually said that, where were you in 2014, I guess, when she was going through this?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, well, it kind of puts it in perspective how you and Devin both were saying, we're not taught this when, in school, we were young, at all. So we get into this type of trouble early and then don't know how to dig ourselves out of that hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just saying, it's amazing how many of us as people don't even know what our credit score even is.
Yeah.
And plus not even concerned about it.
Yeah. That's scary.
It is, because I guess I wasn't until later in life that I actually started paying attention to it.
I mean, think about it, right? It impacts so many points of your life. So why is it important? Well, when you go to get a job, certain jobs, they're going to pull your credit report.
Right. You can't get hired because you got bad credit.
Yeah, but it's confusing because they can pull it from any one of the three bureaus, and then you never know your FICO score.
And you can get that. You can get that information yourself. You can go to Equifax directly. You can go to TransUnion. You can go to Experian.com. All you need to do is go to one of them and you can get all three scores. In fact, you can get your credit report for free from each credit bureau once per year for free. You just pay for the score. So if you're working on building your credit, it may make sense, right, to spread it out. And so I'm going to start with my TransUnion file, right? So I'm looking at my TransUnion, and I know I'm working on it. I want to see how it progresses and how the work that I'm doing, how it impacts my credit report. And so then maybe in 2 months, then you pull your Experian, and then you pull your Equifax.
Okay.
Cool.
But definitely don't call those places that say we'll fix your credit for, $500 or whatever like that. Because what they do is, what some of them do is they'll actually put you on as an authorized buyer on someone who has good credit. And that person may not know that they're doing that, right? So a lot of it is illegal, right? And so people will say, oh, well, just like that, they fixed my credit. I was able to go and buy that car, buy that house, right? And that's because it hasn't been found out yet. But as soon as someone pulls their credit report and notices that all of a sudden they have a house in Texas, right? You're going to be back at where you were, but you also are going to deal with some criminal charges.
Right.
So Ms. Britt actually said this. She said that they use Credit Karma.
They use that to monitor the credit.
I guess I'm assuming that's like a monitor, a credit monitor. So
Yeah.
you're saying, so what you're saying is that's not really a good move.
I've always been taught to I would go directly to the credit bureaus.
Okay.
I think it's creditreport.com is another one that the banks have felt good about referring to. But I tell my mom to go to transunion.com.
Right.
Go right to the person.
Source.
You don't need to go to any middle people, because once you go to one credit bureau, you'll be asked, do you want your credit report from all three? Do you want your credit score from all three? So you don't have to go in between.
Right.
Now, I do use Credit Karma. I got the app, and it does show. I mean, it doesn't match. I'll be honest. It doesn't match when I pull my FICO score, and I pull my other TransUnion. Sometimes the points are off, but eventually it does line up. But it does show when it goes up and down pretty quickly.
Yeah, and so
every day.
And that's one of the reasons why you could potentially buy a car today and buy a house tomorrow, and in that credit report that they pull won't know that you just bought a house, because they don't update all at the same time, right?
That's why you go directly to the source.
And I mean, and some people use that to their advantage, right, or whatever, but the credit bureaus are not all on the same 30 days.
Right.
Gotcha.
So how can you establish and start building good credit history? Open a checking account, right? Start with a checking account. If you don't trust yourself with credit cards, get a gas card, right? You're not gonna go too crazy with the gas card, right?
Right.
I mean, unless you just love junk food, because that's about all you can get, right?
Speedway points.
Right? You're gonna get some gas and you're gonna get some candy bars, right? But that's the best way if you say, oh, I know I've run into trouble before, because that's what I've had a lot of conversations with people who say, I got into trouble before, so now I'm just gonna stick with cash, right? And they're like, well, when it's time to buy a house, unless you think you're gonna have that 100, 150, 200, whatever, if you're gonna pay that with cash, that's one thing. But if you're gonna need some credit at some point.
Right.
All right. I don't want to. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what my problem was. I had no credit because I just paid everything off, paid with cash. So when I need to use credit, it was like having bad credit because I had no credit.
Yeah.
So everybody should have some form of open credit on their credit card, on their credit report, right?
Yep, you do. And that's why I say, again, a safe way, instead of, if you think, you don't want to have a Visa, you don't want to have the Victoria's Secret card, whatever, then you don't have to go that route. Get a gas card. That's a safe one. And then again, we talked about the secured credit card. So you can do that if you need to start over, but pay your bills on time. That's the biggest thing. You can even start, if you already have some credit established, and you want to build more instead of getting another credit card, which I don't suggest, is you shouldn't just have a bunch of credit cards. Get a small personal loan, right? Do a small investment, right? But have a mix of credit is what you're gonna need.
A portfolio or credit.
You need a portfolio, yes.
Yeah,
Ms. Sonia, when you say small investment for someone who's trying to open up a line of credit, what was something that you would suggest?
Yeah, so even if you just at your local bank, right, you could do an IRA, you could do you can do some of those small ones. You can and that's not something that takes, you don't have to have thousands of dollars. You can do $500.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm assuming, if I had an 18-year-old, that I would, tell her to probably invest in something like that. So then when she is able to have credit, her credit should be a lot stronger than as opposed to if she didn't have anything.
Yeah, and this, a lot of young folks run into not having enough credit when they are coming right out of school. You see this mostly with young gentlemen who are ready to buy that engagement ring, right? They're in love and they're 21, 25 years old. They have no credit or very little credit history. And they're trying to buy an engagement ring.
Yeah.
I don't know none of those young gentlemen.
I couldn't know when JB Robinson, I got a credit card and it was really small, my credit, but that's what I was going to afford. And we've been married 20 some years. So,
Hey.
Question. Go ahead, bro. So
just questions or comments on the Facebook post. A lot of people use Credit Karma, it looks like. Brittany said, could you send a few links? But then I guess she understood, what you were talking about. So she said, gotcha. And actually Tyrone Taylor said, also uses Credit Karma.
Yeah.
It's like a popular app. Or what is that? Is it an app? I don't know.
Website, I think they probably have an app too. Everybody has an app, right?
Okay,
It's just not one that the bank likes to refer to. So I'm just.
Okay. No. Yeah.
And like I said, I use it, but like I said, it's off from other sources I get too.
Mm-hmm.
Even your credit cards these days, I know I still have a Citibank card, right? So even when I log into my account, it has an option I can go and get my FICO score on there. It's just that it may not, like you said, it may not be, they may be getting a 30 days lapse, right?
Right.
There be a little bit of a lapse there.
Okay, got a question. How does an IRA build credit?
IRAs, right? So it's still reporting. Everything is still being reported. So if you want to be active, right? Managing money, and anything that can be reported could be good or bad.
Okay. All right. So the IRA. So when you do an IRA, that bank will report to your credit, to the credit bureau.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
We're reporting everything.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
All right. So how does it affect your credit? So I kind of mentioned this before the slide. So right, it impacts you when landing a job. Of course, it impacts you when you're getting an apartment. I mean, I have been a landlord, and I certainly look through a person's credit report, right? And see, because if they're not paying NIPSCO, they're not going to pay me. Right? So you want to know that it is.
For those who are out of state, NIPSCO is a power utility company in Northwest Indiana.
Right. Yeah, I still remember.
Right. We dealing with them now.
NIPSCO, ComEd, but your utilities, right? So that's the number one place I'm looking at is utilities. Have you been paying those on time and in full? If you pay your car, if you've had a mortgage, right? The big ticket items, in addition to calling your last landlord, right? But your credit score, that's all reported on your credit report. So it's not just the credit cards that's reported. There's things, like I said, what investments you're doing, but also what liens might be against you, right? So if you are a contractor, right, and someone sues you and has a lien, or right, because you didn't finish some work, that stuff is going to show up on your credit report. If you did run out on an apartment and left a balance due, that's going to be on your credit report. Like your credit report is so important.
Right.
Like your report card of your life.
So important to your life. Obviously, it's going to impact whether you get a loan or not. But maybe you do get the loan, or you do get the house, you do get the car. But how much are you going to be paying in interest, right? So you and I could both be going to go buy that same Lexus, but because of your credit score, you could be paying $900 a month for that same Lexus I'm paying $500 for.
Yeah, and that's what it's about too. Like you said, that it's about the interest. People throw money at you, but it's about how much you're going to have to pay them back, right? Ms. Britt also says, starting off, we would do budget plans, and now we know it was an unwise choice. I think she's talking about
When NIPSCO.
Yeah.
Yeah, that budget plan is garbage. You play the same thing every month, but at the end of the year, you end up with this big bill because those monthly budgets that they give you never cover the actual bill.
Mhm.
So then at the end of the year, you get this big bill for like $600.
Wow.
You have to pay it. And NIPSCO is not like ComEd. ComEd won't cut you off in the winter months, but NIPSCO will cut you off in the winter months. And NIPSCO has gas and electricity combined into one. Unlike ComEd, ComEd has gas and NICOR is ComEd is electric and NICOR is gas. And I don't know how it is where you are, Mike, in Philadelphia.
No, we only have one energy well, not we only have one, but the big one is PECO, and they don't cut you, they don't cut you off. Even though PGW is the Philadelphia Gas Works, cut you off either.
Yeah, but so it's important that in Northwest Indiana that you keep NIPSCO happy.
Wow.
Tyrone Taylor had asked the question, how does inquiries work? How many is considered too many or bad? So talking about inquiries for your credit score?
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect timing because we're on the slide that's going to talk about that.
Okay.
But in terms of how inquiry works, to answer that first, so I mentioned earlier that anyone that you have a trade line with, if you have a relationship with, you have a contract with, right? They are doing a soft inquiry into your credit bureau all the time. And that doesn't impact your credit score because it's considered a soft inquiry, right? So it's not an inquiry to determine whether we can give you a higher line of credit or anything, at least not per your request, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're making an inquiry, one, to see how you're paying other trade lines. Again, that whole universal default clause, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also they want to see maybe we should give you a higher line of credit, right? And so we used to do things back at Citibank is we would do mailings to people and say, oh, well, it looks like they moved recently. Maybe we should do a new mover email. And the new mover email or mailing would be for people who just bought a house. Well, they probably want more credit, right? So those are different things they're grabbing from looking at your credit report.
Okay. So yeah, hope that answered your question, Tyrone.
But we're going to talk more about how many and how that impacts your credit score here as well. So you'll see I have here broken out the that circle broken out into different pies. And the largest portion of the pie is 35% going towards, do you pay your bills on time? That's the biggest portion that makes the decision on whether your credit score is going to go up or down. 35% is, do you pay the bill on time? Uh-huh. So going back to, if that credit card bill or that whatever bill that you're getting, if it's not coming at the right time of month, you should call and see if there's another date available for you. Mm-hmm. I know for sure that there are on credit cards. Mm-hmm. The next portion, the next largest portion of the pie at 30% is credit utilization. So what percent of the credit lines that you have are used versus open? So example, right? So if you have $100 credit line, let's say, and you're using, right, more than 30%, right? So you're using more than 30% of that credit line. It looks like you're living on this credit line, right? That you are in need, right? And this is risky, right?
Right.
That very risky, right? So what you should do is you can ask for a credit line increase, or two, you need another credit card, right?
I just want to repeat that so everybody understand. So what Tanya was saying, that if you have a credit card, you only can use 30% of that balance. Mm-hmm. Wait.
Before it's impacting your.
Before it's impacting. Now, question: is it 30% of one card, or is it 30% of as?
So it's looking at all of your credit lines. It's looking at it. We're looking at all of them. But for example, I just used one. But it's looking at everything, which is why, right? So when you're trying to repair your credit, the first thing people usually do is go, well, I'm gonna go close that one because I paid it off. And it's like, no, don't do that.
Paying off a credit card can hinder you.
No. It's fine. It's great that you paid it off, but don't close it.
Close it, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right? Because you had possible of all your credit lines, right? Of all the credit lines that you had in total equal $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
You were using $30,000. However, you started working on your credit, right? And so one of the credit lines you paid off. And so now you have $30,000, but you're only utilizing $20,000 of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have $10,000 open to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not as high risk as someone who's using every dollar that they have in their credit card.
Right.
Then that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So just because you have like $600 in credit available to you, you should only use 30% of that or less.
Yeah. You need to get another one. You need to ask for a credit line increase.
Right. Right. So
and they
you have 600 of credit, then you fill out something for like Fingerhut. And Fingerhut give you like $600 in credit. So now you got $1,200 available, but you still only use 30%.
I'm cracking up that you said Fingerhut.
I don't know what Fingerhut is.
Oh, you know what Fingerhut is? Fingerhut is a way you can build your credit easy.
Fingerhut is still around?
It is.
No.
It is. Yes, it is.
That was the one who had me messed up when I was in college.
So it's not like Credit Karma?
No, Fingerhut is just they give you credit to order stuff out of a book.
It's a catalog.
It's a catalog, yeah.
Ordering place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like $800 of credit, but their stuff is through the roof though.
I got you.
But they'll add credit to you. So it's a way you can kind of credit hack in a way that you really don't want to buy nothing from them, but you get to open credit to your account, so your 30% can go up.
Got you. Okay. I didn't know what that was. So
you know what that reminded me when you mentioned Fingerhut? That reminded me because again, they were the one when I went through my credit, right, when I was in college, and I was like, let me make sure I'm all good. And they were reporting that like I still had an outstanding balance or something. And so what I learned you need to do is when you do close a credit card account or any account, make sure you ask them for, I want to receive a zero balance statement.
Right.
I want proof.
Right.
Because if I have to fight this down the road, what you have to do, what you can do when you're on one of those credit bureaus, and maybe you can through Credit Karma too, when you say, oh, I need to clear up my account, this is reporting incorrectly, you have to send, right, some kind of data. You have to send proof.
Yep.
So if it's you close an account, you want to be able to show, look, they sent me zero balance, closed account.
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you have a question?
Yeah. I'll wait till you're done. I would just let you know. Go ahead.
And so the next largest bucket or piece of the pie is 15% is the length of credit history. How old is your credit history? Well, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, right? It's kind of like applying for a job and they go, how much experience you have? You know what? I'm trying to get experience right now. So all I can say is that you just got to start. There's nothing you can do but start your credit history to have it, right? But it still is a portion of what's calculated into your credit score.
Okay.
Adding debt. So this is for Tyrone, right? So are you adding debt on a regular basis? It accounts for 10%. And so when you go and pull your credit report and you see that you were hoping it was 800 or 850, but it's 750, right? And it'll give you reasons why your credit score isn't as high as the biggest possible, which is 850, right? It'll say adding too many inquiries, right? So that means you've been applying for credit all over the place. It's going to ding you, right? It's going to fall off eventually.
Right.
It's going to ding you initially at least 98 points. So that's why they'll say when you're about to make a big purchase, like buying a home or buying a car, you should not let everybody ding your credit, right? You're not going to let them pull your credit until you have, when you first need that pre-approval to go around and shop for the house, right? And this should be good for 90 days. So you're gonna have your credit pulled that first time so that you can get your pre-approval that proves that you can afford to buy a house in this price range.
Mhm.
And then it'll be pulled one more time when you're ready. You're like, I found a place. I have a contract that is agreed to by the seller, and we're ready to go to closing. That's when they lock down your interest rate. That's when and that interest rate is locked down by whatever your credit score is that day that they pull it.
Okay.
So, but you don't want to, you go looking for a car, you're not going to have every dealership pulling your credit score. You're going to say, well, I'm still looking. You can tell me, about what it would cost if I'm a 800 versus a 700, but you can't pull my credit until we have come to an agreement on the price.
Right. I do have a question from Brenda Dawson. Why do we have to get a credit card report for each apartment that apply for?
You shouldn't.
Right.
That's again.
Goes with what you were just talking about, right?
Right. So when you're working with a realtor, right? If you're working with a realtor, their office should be able to pull a credit report for you, right? So they're saying, we are a third party. We are not Brenda. We are a third party, right? And we had a credit report pulled on her behalf, and we can send it to you, right? So if she's going to apply here, and then that one slipped through the cracks, and then she's going to go and look for this other apartment, you only had it pulled that one time.
Okay.
Or you can say, you know what, I can't have my credit report pulled anymore. When you say yes, then I can give you the credit report.
Right.
Or I have a copy of it and it has last week's date on it. If it's within the last 30 days, people will work with you on that. And then if you actually go to actually sealing the deal, then they're going to pull it one more time.
I didn't know that, and thanks for the question, because it just brought up a question for me. I didn't know that, it dinged when you get dinged too many times. I think you said it, maybe I misunderstood, 98 points.
Average, right? But it'll fall off. It'll fall off and come back, but initially, yes.
Wow, that's a pretty big ding.
Yeah.
Because that takes you
98. I think I mentioned that on the slide when you pay late.
Oh yeah, you know what, you did. Okay. Yeah, that gets me, if I do have an 850, which I don't, but if I do, that gets me from an 850 interest rate to, a 700 interest rate. And that
Credit score, 700 credit score.
No, well, the interest rate changed though. That's what I'm trying to say.
I see what you're saying, 700.
The interest rate changed. It's just like, that money makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's why you do not. That's why if you know that you're in the market for buying a house, you should not be doing anything with your credit.
Okay, yeah. That's,
right? If you know you're in the market to buy a car, you want to have the highest score you could possibly have.
Right. Wow. No, thanks for that. I appreciate it.
And the last percent here is the 10%. Another 10% is a healthy mix of credit. So we talked about, it's not just about credit cards, right? Because maybe credit card is not a good way for you to go personally if you've had trouble managing a credit card. So maybe it's, again, the utilities and having a student loan, those things, a cell phone, right? Those things also are reported and go into your credit score. So we talked about this. You can get a free copy of your credit report. The only other third party that we recognize or like to suggest is annualcreditreport.com. And that's who I use.
Right.
And then it gives you the same thing. You can get a copy of your credit report. You can also get a copy of the score. You can have it email you anytime there's a change.
I have a question from Tyrone again. A lot. Well, I don't know if it's a question, might be a comment. I'm not sure. A lot of places try that. Hurry up and take you to sign papers before you look at the vehicle, mostly over the phone and online. They want you to take an application and only ask you what's down payment and do you have a job. Helpful information, Tanya, and 100% sign.
Thank you. I'm glad it's helpful. And I just realized that I left the logos on there. So I want to make sure I say this is not sponsored from the MIT Credit Union.
Okay, that's cool because we noticed that, but it was already on there, so we'll see. Thanks for making that statement. All right, cool.
So some of the common errors that you could find that people do find on their credit reports and why you should be looking at least once a year is your personal information, starting with that, right? Your name, right? And that's something that easily happens with me, whether it's Latanya or Tanya, right? And you want to make sure it's spelled correctly, right? So make sure your name is spelled correctly, that it's not your nickname. The status on accounts, right? You'll say, well, no, I paid off my car, but it's showing here that it's open. Again, you want to have that proof. So you're going to go and file a report if it's on the TransUnion report. So then you got to look and see, is it on all 3 reports showing open, or is it closed on 2 and it's just showing open on 1? And that's part of the proof too, but you need to do a report and have them fix it. There could be, the same thing could be balance error. So maybe you're saying, I thought I only had $1,000 more to pay on this car, and it's saying that I have 10,000. Just, you know, those kind of data management errors that could be found. It's up to you to fix it, to identify it and fix it. No one else is looking it up for you. A lot of times you'll see a repeat of the same debt. So it's like, wait, clearly I don't have 2 of the same car bought on the same day, you know?
Right.
So those type of things you need to watch out for. So this is just a sample of a credit report and what it might look like when you pull it. So you see in large print that 723.
Yes.
Right. So that's a pretty decent report. The score that you write, the top score that everybody want to get to is the 850. So the range is from 300 to 850. And you'll see marked there that Vantage score. Pretty much no one uses that.
Where we at? I'm sorry, I was trying to look at it.
Right below the large score, the 723 underneath there, you see a Vantage score.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I see it. Okay.
Some of those third party, they give you Vantage scores. I'm just telling you, no bank goes by Vantage scores.
I never recall seeing that before. Okay.
By FICO scores.
Right. Okay.
So this is how, right, some of your creditors might come across looking, right? So this one, they have a mortgage, they have a bank account, and a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to show CCC is that they're current. So that's what you want, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
So this is all good. If it was you weren't current or you were late, it would be in red.
Okay.
But you want to make sure that the original amount and the current balances, those are what you expect it to be.
Okay. What was that B for? Was that broke?
Where do you see it be?
Oh,
February 12th. I see a B.
Jaguar credit bought.
Oh, that's probably when they first started the account.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Broke. And so again, for Tyrone, you'll see at the bottom of this page, it shows inquiries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the different creditors that have been checking your account. And
Okay.
And I also want to mention here too, is when you look at your own credit, it doesn't negatively affect you when you pull your own credit report.
Oh, okay. So I can go on and look at my own credit as much as I want.
Yeah, that doesn't
Okay.
affect your credit score at all.
I don't know why I was under the impression that I can't even look at my own, on myself because it's going to pull. Okay.
No.
All right. Good.
So that's it for that. I'll stop and see if there's any other questions. And then I have some resources, handouts that I can share here, and I think Devin's gonna add those to a Google Doc as well.
Yeah, so we'll figure out we can put on a Google Doc where people can come in and check it out from there.
That was great. I know I definitely learned a lot.
So this is from another source, and they broke down the credit score as well, right? So slightly different, I think. No, it's the same, 35% payment history, 30%. Yeah. And you see down here where what does your credit score mean? right? So if you're between 300 and 580, that's pretty much considered poor. And then between 580 to 740 would be more fair to good. And you want to be in that very good, right? So
Right.
very good would be more of that over 740 area. To get the best rates is usually around 750.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, it doesn't mean you won't get approved. It's just what your interest rate, right?
Interest rate. Right.
These numbers starting to feel, I'm looking at the scale.
All right,
Any
cool.
questions about that?
No, I don't. I just I remember the good old days. Well, the bad old days. I had a 480. Yeah, that was Oh, a little bit further down.
But that's all right because you got better, right?
Yeah, I did. Man, it took a while.
It's so important to have these conversations with our kids, so they're not in the dark about this.
Right.
I think Brittany has a statement she wants to say.
Yep.
I don't see it.
Oh, she says, "This is so much needed. Thank you, Miss Tanya." Did you say, Mrs. question? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, she's saying, is it Miss or Mrs.?
Oh, is it Miss or Mrs.? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mrs.
Miss it. You put the ring on it. So here I have listed out the different credit bureaus so that we're all familiar with who those credit bureaus are.
Yes.
As well as how to reach them. You can request a free credit report from each credit bureau once per year for free. It doesn't include the score, but you can buy just the score and save yourself some money.
So you can get 3 a year for free.
Right. One from each, yeah.
But it does not include the score.
Which is what you want to do.
Right.
Okay, I do see two of her comments. Was that the one you just read, Devin, about I have good credit?
No, I didn't read that one. That one just popped up.
Okay. I don't know why, again, it happens to me all the time. I have good credit, but I'm also not working. What should I do with my life?
Well, I don't know if I'm qualified to answer.
Yeah, I don't think no question. That's on you, Britt. I'm playing.
I think she probably means in terms of credit, right? So you definitely don't want to, and what a lot of people end up having to do possibly, right, is to use their credit cards to get by. So I would just caution to try not to do that as much as possible. And again, whenever you do have to use a credit card, you're going to try to want to use the one that has the lowest credit interest rate, of course. So that's probably not the one that has reward points. If you can use checking instead of using a credit card, is probably a better way to go. But outside of that, I'm not really sure what to say. But I would say, especially during these times, I know a lot of institutions are offering skip-a-pays on their credit cards because they know a lot of people are impacted by COVID. There's a lot of skip-a-pay programs out there for mortgages and for cars and for insurance. So make sure you tapping into those type of resources while they're available, especially now. I know most banks have some type of program to help people in need right now. And don't be afraid or shy because believe me, a lot of people are using it. And it's not like you have to prove in many cases the reason why. But they're not gonna let you skip it for a year, but it could help you.
And I think what she means to say is not that she's not working, she's a housewife. She has a job.
Oh, yes, I know that job well. Any other questions?
Yeah, so can you explain that, the skip-a-pay again? I kind of went in and out. I don't know why I went in and out. I just heard skip-a-pay and then it kind of went out.
Yeah, so because of COVID, right, a lot of people have lost maybe hours on the job or have lost their job completely. And so banks have come up with, and different institutions have come up with programs to allow their customers or members to be able to skip this month's payment
Okay.
just to help you, kind of get some footing. So if if you don't have to pay your mortgage for a month, I mean, that might be adding, over $1,000 to your bank account.
Right.
But it's not going away. It's just,
Right.
it's just pushing it off.
And that doesn't hurt your interests or hurt your, any type of scores. That I guess is kind of like a forgiveness.
Yeah, it's an agreed on contract. You're gonna have to sign some paperwork.
Right. Okay. No, okay. That's good. That's good information.
All right, that's all I have.
Oh, Brittany said she's a domestic engineer.
I like that.
All right, cool. Well, that was a lot of information. Yeah, a lot of information is well needed. Like I was saying in the intro, that we as the people, in order to get better, we have to learn these things. These are the rules we have to live by. A lot of people around us, a lot of neighbors who do a lot better, they understand this. They teach their children that.
Yeah.
And we can't always, I'm not saying looking for handouts, but we can't, we got to do some stuff on our own, and education is the key, and be educated in the right things, like, finances, different things like that. So this is really helpful, really helpful. You got anything on that, bro?
No, I'm just, I was just really blown away about that 98-point average. I know he says average, but any type of over inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
That's shocking, actually.
Late payments.
I'm sorry.
That's paying late.
Oh, so I thought. Okay, I don't know why I misunderstood. I'm sorry that I thought it was like any over inquiries. It was also like a 98-point drop off as well.
That varies. It varies,
Okay.
But definitely on late payments.
Okay.
Again, it also falls off unless it's something that you're continuing to do. Then it's always adding to it.
Okay. I do have a question. It's a personal question, I guess, but I received a late payment on the payment that I actually paid off, and it went to a collection bureau. How would I basically recover? Because if it already went to the collection bureau, that means it's already dinged my credit score, correct?
Yeah.
If they're in the wrong, how do I?
They can reverse it.
They meaning it was
Company.
okay. All right. So I just had to go fight that. Okay.
Valid dispute, yeah. All right, well, that was a lot of information. And of course, we are a church. So I think before we close end the discussion, let's go to Proverbs 37 and verse 21 real quick. Let's see what the Bible say about paying your bills. Yeah, we always hear those lessons about money cometh and the blessing from the Lord and all that type of stuff. But the Lord does the other side too. Proverbs 37 and verse 21. And it's only 2 scriptures, so we're not gonna go deep into this. Proverbs chapter 37, and Mike, when you get to verse 21, can you read that for me, sir?
You said Proverbs 37?
Yeah. Is it Proverbs 37?
No, it's not Proverbs 37. That's Proverbs 27.
You know what? Go to Matthew chapter 25. Let me look through it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, Matthew verse 5. I got you.
Matthew 5 verse 25.
Yeah, Matthew 5 verse 25. Look what Jesus said.
Okay. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison.
All right. So basically, Jesus is saying, and when he was saying this, he said, agree with your adversary quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And the adversary will be a creditor. Because back then they had, you can go to prison if you didn't pay your bills. You know, so Jesus is basically saying when things like this happen, don't be afraid to call and make arrangements.
Right.
Because Jesus says, give it to Caesar when he was talking about taxes, but if you owe somebody, you need to pay them as well. If you don't borrow, you don't pay. And that's the same thing with credit cards. You're borrowing, so like I said, this is an actual loan. So it's not something you get a loan and you just start swiping it and not paying. If whatever you agree to is what you agree to, but understanding what you agree to. Even if you don't think it's fair, you need to establish it's not fair before you agree to it. You know what I'm saying? Because the Bible does say make a promise or contract in so many words. You gotta agree. You know, you gotta go through with it. Even if you can't say I signed a contract and come to find out it's like 80% interest. That's what you agree to.
Right.
Unless you make other arrangements, you got to stick with that 80% if you know that's what you signed up for.
Right. It's just exactly what you just said, and you know.
Right. And now go to Psalms 37. Psalms 37, and this is it. Now this is just advice from King David and advice from Jesus. Because the Bible does a lot of things in life. Psalms 37, and we're going to start at verse 21. Now, this is pretty straightforward. When you get there, bro, go ahead.
The wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth.
So I'm just going to deal with the first half of that scripture. The wicked borroweth and payeth not again. So the Lord thinks it's wicked if you know, borrow some money, you don't pay it back.
Right.
That doesn't mean you can't make arrangements. That's why he said, 55, call your adversary and make arrangements with them, or else they'll put you in prison.
Right.
So if you're going to borrow money from somebody, and if you call you're going to be a Christian, going to be a follower, the Lord, because I can't speak for non-Christians. But if you're going to call yourself a Christian, pay the money back. At least make arrangements. And the Bible does say if you're going to loan somebody, have mercy on them. You know, you can't be like coming down on them. But the whole point is that if you borrow money, have good credit with your friends, have good credit with your people. Don't have, you're going to represent Christ at all times. Don't have people looking down upon them like, man, I loaned that guy money. He's supposed to be a Christian and don't pay it back. But, then they start blaspheming against God and stuff like that because we always represent God in every single aspect, including business. So as Bible Christians, we really need to be about our business in all aspects. So that's why we have these conversations, not only with the Bible, but also, with life. The Bible is. What did we say it was? The Bible meant, what was that again?
It's actually an acronym. I know what you're talking
about. Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. So that's included in everything. So that's just a couple of scriptures to show that, hey, God wants you to pay your bills too. So pay your bills so you have good credit. It's important. Bad credit keeps us as a people back an awfully lot. We pay too much in interest rate. We can't have good enough credits to even live in certain areas because we have bad credit. We're stuck in areas that aren't the best. So in order to stop that from happening, we need to be educated about our life because to me, your credit is basically a report card of the decisions you made in life. So you make smart decisions. All right. So thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, guys.
Much appreciated. And we'll figure out how we can get that those PDFs uploaded so people can take a look at it.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Ms. Sai, did you want to, talk about your business? I was actually curious as well. Did you want to go ahead and say whatever else you want to say about, does anything else before we close?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you.
Now promote your business. This is your time.
Yeah.
So I am a founder and owner of B Royal Boutique. We are an online brand helping women bring their A game, whether they're going to that corner office or they're going on a date or they're hanging out with their girlfriends. We know how important it is to feel good. And so check out B Royal Boutique. I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
And check it out. So here, let me share. I always have this right up.
And maybe we get a link, and I don't know how we're gonna do that. Oh, look at that face mask.
You gotta, you know, you gotta be protective, but you still want to look good. So it's a great time to visit B Royal Boutique because we have our big summer sale going on right now. So it's buy one, get one, 50% off. So definitely check it out. And we're going to have a live event as well this Wednesday night. So I still need to get that information out there, but check it out. Share it with a friend, share it with family. I try to make sure I find not just apparel, but accessories and jewelry to make us feel good.
Okay, that's great. Live event Wednesday.
Yeah, it'd be Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, so 7 p.m. Central.
Okay, I'm on Eastern time myself, so.
There's gonna be a YouTube or a Zoom Facebook thing.
It's gonna be on Facebook, on my Facebook page, which is the name B Royal, no period, just B Royal Boutique altogether.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you can find me, or also on Instagram. As soon as Devin teaches me how to do both.
Okay. You gotta talk to my IT.
Your IT talk to my IT so that we can.
All right, that's how we do it.
Yes.
They been giving us work.
I'm over here working now.
He's like, he's working now. He's making good dinner.
All right, I put the link on. It's on Facebook and on YouTube.
Okay, good, cool.
Click on that, and it'll take you to the website.
Yeah, you know, it's the standard website. This is the menu button here on the left. And shop, we can shop in by category.
Really well done website, actually. I mean, really well done.
Thank you. I could tell you, it's a labor of love. I'm not IT. So Kim knows that I had to use a plugin. So I use Shopify. I don't know how to program it and do it that way. I use Shopify for my store, which still to me was challenging enough.
Right.
But yeah, so that's our styles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my jumper.
That's your jumper.
Yeah, my jumper.
Well, where? Oh yeah.
Don't look too hard because that's not quite what I look like in it, but that's my jumper.
Britt said I'm doing that ASAP, doing this ASAP. She got her dancing dress and shoes on. It looks like the emojis.
I love it.
Those are dancing shoes. Can't see no more.
It's funny to right, for my job and what I do and having a business, and I think that people always go, man, your stuff is just so much more affordable. I'm like, because I care about people. But yeah, check it out.
Okay.
Everybody hear that? Make sure you guys go to B Royal Boutique and check that out. This is also showing on YouTube, and it's going to be on there. So anybody watch this whole video, they're always going to see it. So this is going to be amazing. And also, give me that link so I can share it on my Facebook page too. You know, Kim's going to put it on hers and so on.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks a lot. That was very informative, and this is great.
Thank you.
My family's smart.
Your family is smart.
Britt said, thank you for your love.
Aww.
That's a top fan right there.
That's a top fan.
This was great. I'm really glad to have done this. So,
of course, we're gonna probably ask you to do this again later.
okay.
This is not something we're just gonna do. We're gonna keep trying to do something financial once a month, and we're gonna reach in our circle and try to educate our people as much as possible. All right, real quick announcement. Of course, join us next week, Friday, for our 30-minute Bible lessons. And as usual, whatever question.
Stop.
So whatever questions you have or subjects you want to hear about, just inbox Bible Christian, Fellowship Spirit, or just inbox myself, text, or call me or Mike. And we'll do a 30-minute lesson regarding your question, your biblical question. Join us on Saturdays and Sabbath at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for our regular Bible lessons, and also join us afterwards for our Bible discussions with me and Mike, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this week, what we're discussing this week, bro? Are we talking about voting this week, or are we talking about something?
Racism? We'll talk, because remember we were talking about either the racism thing or voting.
Oh yeah, that racism was pretty
We
good.
might be able to put both of them in the same thing now. But we'll talk.
I mean, voting go hand in hand.
How
Obviously,
about voting for racism?
voting for racism. How you look at it nowadays. So we'll get back to you guys on that one. But thank you for joining us, everybody, from on Facebook and also on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. And everybody have a blessed week, and we'll see you next Friday night on the Sabbath. Grace and peace, everybody.
Hey, the big girl's home.
Yeah, the big girl's home. All right, peace, everybody.
Good night.